All right, welcome to Romera's virtual cast. Today we have on Robin Stoloff. How's it going?
Doing great, thanks.
So yeah, the reason why we're laughing about this is because we had to restart because awesome technology wasn't recording. So, but
Thank goodness you caught that.
yeah, thank God that's been like my biggest fear. But so yeah, you're into fitness. You've been doing this for a while. So I'm guessing you've got like your own business that you've been doing with fitness. So yeah,
Yeah,
just
well, I've been teaching workout classes since I was about, I guess, 19, and I'm 59 now. It's a long time. It's been a while. And it's changed over the years. It's become a mega industry, as we all know. But I actually met my husband in a gym. I was applying as an aerobics instructor, and he was working there in the gym. And I shook his hand and I got all tingly. I was like, I like this guy. But we worked together. And so it was kind of, you don't date someone you work with. It's kind of that kind of thing. But then, of course, we couldn't resist. And we've been working out together ever since. We've been married for, well, we did the long-term dating program. That was 10 years. He went to law school. I moved to the Jersey Shore and I got a job as a health reporter on an NBC affiliate. And so we just did the long distance dating thing. We met when we were 21, so we were a little young to get married. So then we finally did it 10 years later, a whirlwind romance. And we have always had fitness in our lives, even though we did different types of businesses. We have always worked out. He's really great. He absolutely loves it. He'll come home after a tough day and he'll be a little stressed, goes down our basement gym, and he comes up like, hello world. It's He's so happy, and it just makes such a difference in his life and in mine. And as I've gotten older, when I was younger and I used to teach workout classes, I thought I was just teaching fitness class. But what I'm really teaching is confidence, motivation, um, just lifestyle, feeling good about yourself. And I've changed the way I view it over the years. When I was younger, it was just a workout class. Now it's people's lives. As I'm older, I'm thinking this isn't just to look good in your bathing suit. This is to live a longer, healthier life, to be there for your kids and your grandkids. Different perspective as you get older.
absolutely, yeah. I definitely think that people view fitness, in general. Well, I think when we're younger, we want to be able to be super athletic and and do all kinds of things. But when we get older, it's more of a functional fitness. The last person I had on, we were talking about this commercial that we had seen, and it was an older man, and he was going out to his shed and dragging a kettlebell everywhere, and his wife was like, what is he doing? He's probably like 70 years old, 80 maybe, and he's just dragging this kettlebell around and picking it up and just doing like this with it. And then at the end of the commercial, you find out the reason why he's picking up this kettlebell like that is because he's trying to train to pick up his granddaughter so that she can put a star on top of the Christmas tree. And it's
That
like,
is awesome.
so yeah, that type of that functional fitness, that we don't really think about that kind of stuff when we're younger, but when we get older, it's like, oh, I want to be able to just, when I'm 80, I want to be able to bend over to tie my own shoes and do those kind of things.
Absolutely. Get out of a chair easily. Just be able to move around and feel good in your life. And it's unfortunate in our culture, in our world, in our country that a sedentary lifestyle has almost become the norm. So many people, I think it's like 60% of the people do not work out. And even 40 of that 40%, maybe people work out a little bit every now and then. But it's a majority. It's that don't really work out the recommended amount of time, which is about 150 minutes of exercise per week. And I always tell people it's never too late. It's like money in the bank. You can start at any time and start with something simple. Just start with a walk. Just get your body moving. You don't have to run a marathon. But if you're sedentary, they say eating is the new smoking.
Mm,
It can be harmful to your health. It's just as bad as smoking is for you. That's how bad being sedentary is. And that's our life. We sit at work, we sit in the car driving home, we sit at the dinner table, we sit on the couch watching TV. And not everybody, but a lot of people. And then you put on a few pounds, and the next year it's a few more pounds, and suddenly you put on 30 pounds, and you just go, "What happened? How did this happen?" And as a health reporter, I have interviewed too many people that wish they could rewind the clock and wish they could go back in time and change the things that they did, change their habits, change some of the decisions that they made. And I always say to my kids, we are what our decisions are. We are what we decide to do every day. We are accumulation of the choices we make. So make good ones.
Absolutely. And I think that, as you were saying, being sedentary has become normal. Like you can even see it with like clothing lines. Like they'll make their clothes tailored to people who are bigger than people, normally, we think of old fashioned type models where they're just really thin and straight bodies, not many curves, stuff like that. And but now it's just like they're marketing to people who probably don't work out often and have a lot of curves and stuff like that. So you can even see it, as I said, with clothing companies. They're understanding the American lifestyle of not being totally fit, and I not bagging on people who are out of shape or anything by all means, but it's I don't think that it's great that is a thing. I think that it should be normalized to be in shape and be fit. But I mean, if choices are choices, as you said, we are what our choices are. But yeah,
And it's
it's
not just about appearance.
yeah,
I want to get that across. I mean, we don't want to body shame anyone. There's people that are maybe a few pounds overweight that are in really good shape, that
absolutely,
exercise, work out, and that's fine. That's great. But there are a lot of people that don't do that, and their heart's affected, their lungs are affected. They get winded going up a flight of steps. It just really affects your quality of life. And I've changed the way I teach as well. Well, unfortunately, when COVID began, my gym closed where I worked for 30 years. And I thought it was for 2 weeks. We all thought COVID was 2 weeks, right? Everything closed. And then it was 2 months. Then it was forever. My gym closed forever. And that was so devastating because I had people there that I taught classes to that you get close with them and you get to know them. And a lot of them, this gym skewed a little older demo. It wasn't like big young bodybuilders. It was more people like in their 40s, 50s, sometimes even older. And they were just, regular people trying to work out and keeping with it. And I felt like it was my job to get them to come back for the next one, to keep them going. And when that gym closed, it was unfortunate. I really was bummed out about that. So I started teaching virtually. And I got some people, it's not a big group, but it's fun and it keeps me active. And I'm starting a new program actually very soon with a local dietitian nutritionist. As part of her program, I'm going to be the fitness component. So I'm really excited about that because these are folks that really want to make a change in their lives. And I take it very seriously that I get a chance to help them. I get a chance to make a difference in someone's life and maybe help them live longer and help them live happier. So I'm really excited for that.
So, what are some differences between like the physical, like in person stuff, compared to virtual? That let's go pros and cons. Like, what are your pros and cons
Well,
to doing them?
pros, of course, when just like anything, if you and I were sitting next to each other, we would have a different vibe, a different connection, as opposed to doing this on Zoom, right? That's just how it is. So teaching in person, you get that, and you can chat with somebody after class, and you can, if somebody says, "Oh, my knee hurts today," it's a little bit more personal. The positive of doing it virtually is that people don't have to travel. They have less of an excuse. Oh, I can't get to the gym, or how am I going to make it home? I got to cook dinner for my kids. There, that I have to say has been, if there had to be anything positive out of COVID, there are so many more virtual programs for people now. It exploded, and people found these programs. They had to. They were forced into it. So I have to say that that is probably one of the biggest pluses of COVID, that people now know how to work out at home. And what's happening now, I was just reading an article, is that it's hybrid. people are still working out at home. They got their equipment now, they're all set up, or they got their Peloton bike, whatever it is. But then they decided to go back to the gym, and they're doing both. So if they can't make the gym one night, they'll do an online class, or they'll be able to lift weights at home because now they have all the equipment. They set themselves up, and that's great. So it takes away a lot of the excuses.
Yeah, that's something that my wife, she's a personal trainer, and it's pretty funny listening to her stories about her clients and things that they have to go through to be able to get into a session. And I'm just like, oh, I never did virtual, but I used to train people, and it was at a Gold's Gym, and they had certain reasons why they couldn't come to the gym, and it can be frustrating as a trainer because you want to get them in, you want to make sure that you continue progress, and those are just like some minor setbacks that you have with clients. Oh, I've lost your audio. Hey, Robin, can you hear me?
And you
Oh, there we
you,
go.
you missed that audio.
Yeah, yeah.
That. So I write for a local magazine, and I was researching this, the excuses people make not to work out. And there are several, but one of the major ones is I don't have enough time. And it turns out if you add up the time that you spend scrolling on social, or just going through emails, or maybe talking on the phone, or watching TV, we actually have several hours in a day. And so if we just even a half 45 minutes of that chunk of time and turned it into fitness or exercise time, we would we would be able to make such progress. We would move forward in our workout. And what I find is that it's not that people don't have the time; they don't want to make the time.
Mm.
And I find that we make time for things that are important to us. And I think we need to start saying working out should be not optional; it's essential. It should be something we do at least 3 times a week, hopefully every day. Try to move your body in some way every day. I don't mean muffin and puffin. I'm talking go for a walk, do something. Don't be sedentary. And I think people just really put their minds to it and just say, I'm going to make up my mind to do this. You don't have to go crazy, but take steps and put it in your calendar just like you would any other appointment, a business appointment, a doctor appointment, and make the time for it. They even say, if everybody walked just 10 minutes a day, right? About 110,000 people would be alive. We would save 110,000 lives at the end of a year. That's a that was just a study that was out. That's just walking 10 minutes a day. That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned that those small things definitely help out with just staying active and just doing something. Even if you pick up like a sport, if you want to play like frisbee golf or something like that, or regular golf, whatever, just doing those things. And a lot of times I'll see older people, maybe they're in their 70s or 80s, and they'll have like a dog with them. Like, oh my goodness, I'm just like they're not going to be able to keep up with that dog, but that's what they need. They need like maybe an
The dog's
animal.
walking them.
Yeah, yeah. But but that might be what they need to stay active because they have to keep up with that animal or something. So yeah, those things really help.
Well, I'll tell you, I play tennis, and it's gotten harder. My knees aren't quite what they used to be. Tennis is rough on the knees, but I keep at it because I'm not a runner. I'm not a jogger. I get kind of bored. I'm looking at my watch every 5 minutes when I'm jogging, but I love tennis. And in fact, I played with a woman who's 82 years old this morning, and she was all over the court. She was amazing. And I think to myself, gosh, if I could be doing that at her age. I mean, she was active her whole life. She was somebody that was one of those people, just happened to be active, and she's thin, she's thin. So it's a little easy. for her, but 82. I mean, there's people walking on with a walker at 82, and this woman's running around a tennis court. But I guess the bottom line is find something you like. I don't like running, so I don't run. Don't force yourself to go jogging. If you hate jogging, find something you like and stay with the pickleball now is a big, it's huge. And a lot of people are playing that. They're older, a little bit older sometimes, and it's not as much running as tennis. But I see people after they're done, they're soaking wet.
Hmm.
They've gotten a workout, and it's a game. They don't even realize they're working out. They try to find something fun, and it can also be social as well.
Absolutely. So what are some things you said you do tennis? Like, what are some things that you like to do to stay active?
Well, one of the main things that I've done my entire life is lift weights. Um, and it's gone up and down over, I'm starting to get back into it a lot more now because when I was teaching more workout classes, that was sort of a workout. But now I play tennis. I walk a lot on the beach, doesn't not far from the beach. So that's beautiful in the summer season. Can't beat that, but you can't pay for therapy. That good. And I lift a lot of weights. My husband and I work out together. And in fact, on our Instagram, Facebook page, we're starting little segments. They're just short, one little segment. And since I know how to edit and do video, I put music to them and they're kind of, I did one with an old song called Anything You Could Do, I Could Do Better, if you remember that song.
Yeah.
And there's a picture, a video of me doing an exercise, a video of him. But our point is we're trying to motivate people who are over 50 to get working out. Here's what we're doing. You could do it too. And we're not really even saying anything. We're just putting these videos up. And so you can check it out if you go. It's Ageless Fitness Team on Instagram, or you can just look it up by my name, Robin Stoloff. But we are trying to post some videos, getting people interested in it. And then the next step is we want to start doing 5-minute videos, 10-minute videos on YouTube that really get it. Okay, here's a workout for your back. Here's a workout for your legs. Here's a workout for your chest, whatever. And then here's different ways to do it. Some days you can superset. Some days you go heavy. Some days you go light, more reps, more sets. There's a million different ways to do it. And that keeps it interesting and fun. And my husband's the real expert when it comes to that. He knows how to put together a program for anyone, any age, any restrictions, limitations. He's great. And so together as a team, when he graduates from work, I never like to say retire. When he graduates from work, we're going to try to do this a little bit more. And he's still working as an attorney. He's very busy. So we're not there yet. But, and I still work doing my radio show for Town Square Media. It's a station in Atlantic City called Light Rock. And I do a show where I interview people on fitness, on health, and every Sunday morning. And so we're both kind of busy doing what we're doing in these other areas. So once we get done with our stuff, we'll be focusing more on that.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that there's something to be said about finding a passion about, whatever you like doing and turning it into, what drives you. A lot of people they end up losing their love for whatever they do, whether it's, it might be lifting weights or whatever. And sometimes I'd love, being able to just go to the gym and lift some weights, but sometimes I'm like, this feels kind of mundane. Like it just gets kind of boring, and then
Yeah, you
I'll
need a new program. You need to change it up.
yeah, and sometimes I'll just be like, hey, I just really want to do some body weight stuff, or calisthenics, or I want to just do rock climbing, or do boxing. I just like to switch it up just to stay interested.
Well, that's because not only does your body get used to the same type of exercise, but your mind mentally. And I think it's great to change it up. I think everybody should be doing that. You shouldn't always be doing the same kind of exercise all the time. That's what classes are so good for. You could take a Zumba class, take a boxing class. I mean, and you have an instructor. It's so easy. You just follow along. And there's so much online that people can follow. But as we talked about before, I think some people really enjoy in person. It's, there's some, a vibe, there's an energy about that that you don't get as much virtually. You know what I've always said to people? I've never left a workout and said, "Oh, I wish I didn't do that." How many times do you regret it? You're always happy. You always feel better. If you're tired before, you're energized after. It's an incredible thing. You put out energy and you get energy back. But the hardest part of the whole thing is getting your sneakers on, getting yourself started. That's why if you were going to work out after work, don't go home. Pack your tea bag and go right from your office or right from your job because it is too easy. Get home, turn TV on, and I'm going to eat something, and then I'm too tired to go. Just push yourself, and you'll feel better later. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. We always say it can't not work.
Yeah, I
Gotta
mean,
work.
there's definitely that urge to just do nothing. When you get home and it's like, oh, now I'm comfortable. You change out of work clothes or whatever,
Yep.
and now it's like, oh, I could
It's
do
self-perpetuating too. Once you do that, it's easier to do it again.
oh,
It's easier to do it again. It also works the other way. When you start eating healthier and you start working out more, you kind of don't blow it. Not
hmm,
the best way to say it. You don't want to ruin it. You want to keep on going with it. So the momentum works the other way too. You start on this almost like a snowball effect. And when you start to feel really good, you want to keep that feeling. You want to hold on to it. And it's not everlasting. You have to keep at it to keep that feeling. But believe me, it's the endorphin and the way you feel and the confidence you get. Working out has given me such confidence in my life. I just feel better. I strut more.
yeah. I would definitely say that that's one of the easiest, quick result type things that you can get as far as like self confidence, being able to just you look better and then now you just feel better and so you end up doing better. You just have
In
that's
everything.
yeah it can
And you think better. It's not just physically. It actually improves your brain because if you think about it, you need oxygen to our brains to
mm,
think better. And exercise brings oxygen throughout your entire body. So it helps improve your mind as well as your body.
yeah. And then on top of that, just having good nutrition, staying hydrated, those things, and they kind of compound themselves, right? Like if you're going to the gym every day, you're probably not a type of person that eats cocoa pebbles for breakfast and then pizza for lunch and then whatever for
You're
dinner.
not stopping at Dunkin' Donuts on the way home. You're like,
Yeah,
oh, I just worked too hard. I'm not going to put that 350 calories back on that I just burned. And it's sort of unfair. I always laugh like to burn off Thanksgiving dinner, you have to work out for like 2.5 days or something crazy like that. It's like just not right.
yeah.
And
That's really something that I find about myself is when I'm working out consistently, it's like I'm craving healthy food. Like I don't even want to eat bad food. I mean, obviously, like there are times where I want to eat bad food. I'm like, oh, I've eaten nothing but broccoli and carrots and chicken for for
yeah,
8 days straight. So I'll crave a pizza or whatever or some ice cream.
and it's so eat a
Yeah,
pizza. I
yeah.
mean, that's okay. If you deprive yourself and you don't ever eat it, then you're going to go crazy. I mean, you're just going to be like, I feel so deprived, and then you just go off. That's what happens with people. They start a diet, or I hate the word diet because the first three letters in the word diet, die. Let's just say they started a nutrition program. They start eating healthier, but they think they have to eat celery and dry lettuce. It's just not true. There's a ton of delicious foods out there that you can make that are really healthy. But if you crave a burger or pizza, go eat it. But don't eat it every day,
Mm.
right? I mean, just have it, enjoy it, and leave it behind and get back on it again the next day. To me, that's the best way of doing it because then you don't feel cheated. You don't feel denied. But sometimes what happens is if somebody does that, they'll think to themselves, oh, well, now I blew it. I'll have another one. You didn't blow it. Not one time, two times, three times, five times. Now you blew it.
Mm.
So you just have to think, enjoy it, get it over with, put it in the past, and get back on a healthy. A lot of times I know they'll get to, they'll really kind of be strict. They'll get to the weight they want and they eat healthy 6 days a week and they'll have one day before the cheat day. I don't know if you've done that or not. You have to think about your own personality. If that works for you, great. You know, so you get something you want and then go back on a better plan the next day.
Yeah, I had on Missy Bantner, and we were talking about how when you eat your cheat meal or whatever, or if you're a healthy person, you tell somebody like, oh, I had cake, the other day. People's first thought is like, oh my God, they just ate an entire cake. But he's like, no, I just had a piece of cake. Yeah, and people, I don't know, they just associate, if I had cookies the other day. They think you ate, an entire box of cookies, but you just eat a couple or so, and then you're done. You don't need to eat this massive amount. If you say I had pizza, you didn't eat a whole pizza. You just,
Exactly.
some slices,
Well,
and
I
you're
was
done.
a health reporter for a local TV station before they sadly went out of business, believe it or not, about 7 years ago. And I would be out at dinner and I would order dessert. And sometimes people come up and go, ah, Robin Stoloff eating dessert. I called you. What? I'm a human being. I was just having a little ice cream. You know, people do think that, like, wow. I mean, you can have a little fun sometimes. But I have to say, I think there's two schools of thought with this. I know somebody who says nothing, no food is off limits, which is good. But also, if you crave a certain food, like you love chocolate chip cookies, maybe you don't want chocolate chip cookies in your house. I know I can't have mint chocolate chip ice cream because it'll be Robin, I'm in the freezer. Come eat me. And so I just don't do it. I'll go buy an ice cream cone. I'll spend $7 on an ice cream cone where I could get a whole gallon for $3. I don't care. I rather just, that's how I need to do it. But I could have potato chips in my house. I won't eat.
Hmm.
Doesn't, that's not my drug of choice. I don't care.
Interesting.
It doesn't bother me. I can have bottles of wine. Some people drink all the time. I don't. I'll drink at dinner. Will not open up wine at home. I just won't drink it because I don't want to go down that path where you need to drink every night when you get home. I don't want to start that. I never did, never will. So you have to know your personality. That's my take on it. You got to know you can have certain foods in your house and just say no or have one, have a little ice cream, or not have it at all. Maybe you just don't need that temptation for certain types of. That's my take. What I've learned over the years.
Yeah, there's a website or a company, and they have it's called Gymnastic Bodies, and they've got a nutrition program, and it's called Thrive Nutrition. And through Thrive, they basically break down from they give you like a task. You're supposed to complete the task, and once you've completed it, like over a week, you can move on to the next task. And one of the tasks, I think the first task is like drink a liter of water a day or something like that, which is everybody should be able to do that. But they start talking about, yeah, there you go. They start talking about the things that you should have in your home. And I think one of the things was like you should only have like 10 spices or like 5 spices, something like very simple. And I was like, I never really thought about that because it was talking about just making sure that you don't put like too many different things in your food and start thinking about having all different kinds of stuff. And it's just like keep your food simple. And then another thing was what you were just talking about was don't keep desserts in your house. They never said don't eat dessert. They just said don't
Right.
keep them in your house because it's so much easy access. And I never really thought about that because I'm always like trying to save money. I'm just like, oh, I'll just get the gallon tub for $3 rather
Mm-hmm.
than going to Baskin Robbins and paying. $8 for, for a freaking cone or something, but it's really not that much, but it feels that way. But that,
It's close.
yeah,
Ice cream cones are not cheap anymore.
that concept is like, oh, if I have to go pay that much for ice cream, I'm not going to eat ice cream that much.
Right. Or I'm going to really enjoy this $7 ice cream cone. And, to me, it's worth it. I'd rather do that because I know I won't overeat it.
Mm.
But if you're the type of person that can take out a little bowl, a scoop of ice cream once a week, fine. Good for you. I'm not. I know myself. And that's what I think you need to do. You need to sit down and think, what works for me? Because that's what I don't think every eating program is for everyone. Everybody's different. You got to figure out what works for you, but you got to stick with that plan. And when it comes to cooking, I'm not a big gourmet cook, but I have found that spices really do make a difference, and fresh spices. So what I've learned to do is I go to the vegetable fruit store and I buy fresh spices,
Mm.
and I lay them out in a pan and I let them dry out for a couple weeks. Just let them dry, put them off to the side. Then I take them and stick them in a coffee grinder and I mix them all together. Thyme, it's thyme, rosemary, and sage. Put them all together. I take the leaves, crumple and put them in, and then it comes out in like a powder. And I make Robin's special spice, and I put
Mm.
it in a jar, a container, and I use it on chicken and meats. It's delicious, but it's very simple. Great spices, because they were freshly ground. It adds such flavor. So you can find little tricks. Cinnamon is so good for you. You can put that in coffee or in so many different types of. I put it on sweet potatoes. So I'm using butter. There's trick, and we have the internet. There's endless amounts of information. Consider the source, but if you want the information, it's there, and you can find ways to eat healthier and enjoy it. I love a good piece of chicken or a good piece of fish, as long as it's cooked right with some good spices on it. It doesn't need to be heavy and sauce and that kind of thing. You can make turkey meatballs instead of beef meatballs. There's ways to do it that you don't lose any flavor and you still can enjoy your food.
Yeah, there's so many misconceptions that people have about food in general. Like I was telling somebody at work the other day about how bad white bread is for you, and he was like, "Really? White bread's bad for you?" And I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And
No,
gosh, what was oh butter? I was telling somebody how good butter is for you if it's real butter. That the fake
not
butter,
margarine.
yeah, the margarine and all the fake butter. That's not good for you, but if you got real butter, like the good stuff, then those are good fats that you're putting in your body. That's lubricating your joints and
Same with olive oil, but
yeah,
you've got to be careful how much you eat of it. I mean, 1 tablespoon of olive oil is about 100 calories. So you have to watch, and it's full of fat, but it is good fat. And you do need it for your body. It's important to have. And it also shows you if you're not eating protein with every meal, first of all, you're not going to feel full. Somebody has a bowl of cereal in the morning, you're going to get hungry pretty quickly right after that because it's just not enough. You need some protein and you need some good fat. So cooking eggs and a little bit of butter isn't the worst thing. And some whole wheat bread, really whole grain, not just fake whole wheat bread, but whole grain. Whole grain is because when you have any kind of carbohydrate, you make sure you're getting a lot of fiber with it. That's why you're better off eating an orange than you are drinking orange juice because there's fiber in orange, and that helps to regulate your blood sugar a little bit better.
yeah. There's something I found out about. Gosh, what is it? I think it's like your body will process. I think it's not carbs, sugar, and it might be sugar and carbs, but it views them as like a 1-to-1 ratio. So that's why like anything that's really high in sugar is probably really high in carbs. like ice cream or orange juice, those things, and your body will process the sugar, before like the carbs. So I mean, it's like it holds on to it.
Simple sugars
Yeah, yeah.
quickly. And that's why sometimes if you eat a candy bar, you'll get a burst of energy and then or a donut. People have a donut at 3 o'clock, because they're tired. They didn't get lunch. And they'll grab a donut in the break room at lunch. And then they'll get a little burst and then they'll crash because it's just too much of a sugar spike at one time. So that's, if you crave sweets like me, my thing is I love fruit. We keep fruit and we eat it pretty often. I don't restrict my fruit that much because I'm like, it's fruit. I mean, it's nutritious. It's good for me, and you're supposed to eat a couple pieces of fruit every day. So I want it, I eat it.
Yeah, fruit has those like micronutrients that your body needs that you can't get from a lot of other things. Even though a lot of fruits can be high in sugar, they do have is just like the glucose or whatever, the fructose in.
They have fructose, yes,
Yeah,
but they
they
also have fiber.
yeah, yeah.
So you'll hear from nutritionists that most of them say it's fine, eat fruit. It's so nutritious. Don't cut it out. Some diets, eating plans say don't eat. I disagree. I'm all about health. I mean, we want to lose weight, I guess. But we also want to be healthy. What good is restricting the diet and limiting certain types of food for the sake of losing weight, but you're not going to feel good. You're not going to be healthy, and it's not worth it. And I always say to people, it didn't take you, 2 months to gain 40 pounds. It's not going to take you 2 months to lose 40 pounds. Be patient, take your time. And that's one of the things that I think is the hardest for people.
Mm.
Because once they set their mind to it, I didn't see the, I didn't see, I don't see any results this week. It's going to take a while, but you will. You will see it. As I say, as my husband says, it can't not work. We'll see results. You just have to keep at it. And one day you'll just be like, oh my gosh, I feel better. I'm thinner. I'm a cancer loser. And I feel like more energy. I'm feeling good. But it's not going to take 2 days to happen. We're like immediate rush society. We want things right away.
Absolutely. So, what are some things that you, I guess, have in your regiment that you like to do to keep yourself fit? As far as like, it could be foods, it could be activities. What are some things that you like to do?
Well, in addition to playing tennis, I always try to get some ab work in every single day, in addition to my weight training. So whether I'm weight training or not that day, I try to do at least 50 abdominal exercises,
Hmm.
whether it's plank or a hold. If I hold for 10 seconds, that counts as 10, or crunches or whatever the exercise might be. I have a wheel that I kind of roll out. I try to do
Uh,
50 a day, and days I don't always make it. Some days I get in late. Some days my knee's hurting. I just like, I need a break. I have to know your body, but that's my goal. That's one of my things. In the summer, as I said, I love walking on the beach. I just think that is just, you can't beat it. I feel privileged to live near the beach, near the shore, to be able to get to it so easily. So I take advantage of that a lot. I think that's mental health as well as physical health. Um, and I start playing pickleball a little bit, but that's not really my main exercise. But my family walks. My son is a rugby player at a local college, and my daughter listening to us when my son was from college. We're all down in our basement working out together. He's like a 250-pound rugby player, my little boy. And my daughter also in college, which is home. But we all work out together. We've got a elliptical, a treadmill, a bike, dumbbells from like 10 pounds to 150 pounds. My husband bought out a guy who went out of business years ago. He bought out the gym, and
oh,
that is in our basement. We have a full gym down there. And so we're very fortunate. And we just do so many different exercises and different programs. Like we'll do, as I said before, maybe a heavy day, where we lift a little heavier, do less sets, repetitions. Then we'll do another day where we do maybe supersets of chest and back. And then another do lighter and more reps, lighter weight. So we change it up. It's, no two exercises are alike. No two workouts are the same. So that's really probably my favorite things to do as far as fitness goes. And then as far as what I eat, probably eat the same breakfast every day. I eat chopped up vegetables with one egg, some egg white, and a little bit, maybe a smidge of cheese, just a tiny little bit. And that's my breakfast. And it fills me up with some fat and it's protein and some vegetables. So I already start the day off with eating vegetables because you need, that's very important. Talk about fiber. And about 90% of adults in our country do not get fruits and vegetables in a day. Think about it. Somebody could eat a bowl of cereal. They could have maybe a hoagie or cheesesteak or pizza for lunch. And then maybe when they come home and they have, I don't know, some kind of meat for dinner, and maybe a potato, you could call that a vegetable, but I'm talking about like green vegetable, like a salad or something like that. So you could technically go through your whole day without eating any fruits or vegetables. And that could be the American diet. You know, a burger and fries. Fries don't count. So, you know, but that can happen. Think about our diet. So if you can make it a little bit of an effort, and I always say, have a smoothie, make it into your smoothie, throw some kale in, you won't even taste it. Just make an effort. And I think we get so busy in our lives, especially women, if you work and have kind of, I don't want to be sexist here, but a lot of times the kids are sort of under the woman's, umbrella. I don't think my husband ever took the kids to the doctor ever, but growing up, that's kind of how it was. It was like the women take care of you. Not only do you work, but you also were worrying about the kids as well. And so you get in your life. It's not always.
Yeah, there's so many different things and factors that in our lives that contribute to why we're eating and how we're eating, and those things have so much influence that it sometimes can become a habit. Like we were talking about, coming home from work and not going to the gym, or going to the gym. The same thing with food. If you
Mhm.
uh,
Absolutely. Well, think about food too. When we're little kids, your parents go, "Oh, let's go out for ice cream after the game," or "Oh, you got a good grade on your test. Let's go out to dinner," or whatever. Or they give you some kind of treat. Halloween is a big deal because it's, and I'm not saying all good stuff, fine, but we learn that food is a reward, and also food is part of our social lives. We go out to eat with friends. We have big dinners with family. It's part of our culture, which is great. But we don't know how to regulate it. We go the other way. Like it's so much fun. Eating is such a pleasure. I think it's one of like it's almost like a hidden addiction. And one of the toughest because you can quit alcohol, you can quit smoking cigarettes, you can quit drugs. You cannot quit eating.
yeah.
You have to eat to live. So it's one of the hardest secret addictions, I think, for people to overcome. For people that eat at night, they eat secretly. There's a lot of binge eating. There's a lot of issues with it. And people eat when they're sad, they eat when they're happy. And if we only ate when we were hungry, probably nobody would wait because, but that's not why we eat. We eat for many different reasons. And I love to eat. I'm Italian. Believe me, eating was a part of my life. But, I saw a lot of my family members were overweight and I didn't want to be that way. So I don't make pasta in my family. I'll eat it if I go out. My family makes it. I'll eat it. No problem. But it's not something that I have to have. Now I'll make turkey meatballs with gravy. That I will make. I don't need to have the pasta with it. I'll just have that. So you have to decide what works for you. And you have to think about your culture and a lot of cultures, it's like a thing. Come on, eat. That's a way of saying I love you.
Mm.
And of course, we want our children to eat. We want to feed them. We want them to be happy. But you also have to think in your own mind, why am I eating this piece of food? Is it to, hide some emotions? Is it because I'm upset, nervous? Or is it because I'm happy and I'm celebrating? There's so many reasons that we eat other than hunger.
Yeah, there's I forgot what it was, but it was some TV show. It might have been on like MTV or something. I don't remember. But some it was a bodybuilder, and he lived in Jersey, and his family was Italian, and they were just following his life, and he was just talking about the struggles of being a bodybuilder, and he went over to
And
his
being
mom.
Italian.
Yeah, and he went over to his mom's house, and they were trying to feed him, and they were trying to eat, and they all they had was like spaghetti and all these types of things, and he was like, no, I don't want to eat it.
Very hard to resist.
Yeah.
Well, it's really funny because my mom would make, God rest her, she would make these giant pots. You never saw the bottom of the pan. There was always too much food. You just never, there was always leftover. And I dated a guy in college. His family, food wasn't as big of an issue. They were a family of six and they didn't have a ton. So what they would do, well, we would put our food in the center of the table. You just could get as much as you want, right?
Mm.
What they would do is take a piece of chicken, take a little bit of rice, and maybe some green beans, whatever their vegetable was, put it on a plate and serve it to the kids because they only had so much to go around.
Mm.
And I would eat at his house, and I would come home and say, "Mom, you got anything to eat? I'm hungry. I ate brownies again. There wasn't enough food for me.
Oh my goodness.
One piece of chicken. We were used to having whatever we wanted." So that was what I learned. An endless amount of food that you could just grab. And I thought they did it the right way, really. They limited the kids, and that was enough for them. They were all lean, every one of them. And that's how they did it in their family. And they didn't make such a big issue over food. Where my family, it was like the center of the world. It really was.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's the problem with America is, I mean, it's a great thing, but it's a bad thing at the same time is we have
Double
such access to food and whenever we want it. Places stay open really late. We've got DoorDash and Uber Eats and all these things where they just deliver the food to
Yeah.
us. So, I mean, that's the problem is you can eat as much as you want whenever you want, and other countries aren't like that. And that's why I believe that they tend to stay more thin and stay more in shape, even though they might not be exercising more than us, but they don't eat as much because they probably have healthier foods, and they also don't have such access to these kinds of foods. So it's like an experiment that America's doing, and
Yes, and things have grown. Like a muffin in 1950 was like half the size of a muffin today. Like everything's supersized. The soda's supersized, and that's a whole nother issue. Don't get me talking about soda. But everything is bigger and giant, and that's what we want. More and more. And buffet, what you can eat. I mean, you think about that. That's kind of our society. Like, how much can I get for my buck?
yeah.
And it's unfortunate that that's kind of the way we view food. And it is tough sometimes because if you are on a budget, sometimes it is difficult to eat a little healthier because fast food is cheaper, but it's worth it for your health. If you have to give up something else, it's so worth it. And you can do little things like get giant bags of vegetables. This is one thing we do. We get, you go to Costco, you get a giant bag of vegetables. Now, my family eat that whole bag.
Hmm.
But if your family doesn't want to eat it all, you take half of it out. You can roast them, put a little olive oil, some seasoning. It's delicious. So good. We'll take the whole bag of cauliflower, broccoli, carrots, whatever it is, throw these fruits and vegetables into a pan and just cook them in the oven.
Hmm.
Put them in, go work out down our basement, come up, and they're done. And that's a big, and that they're not expensive. And if you buy frozen vegetables, they're usually flash frozen. So they're frozen at the peak of their nutrition.
Hmm.
So they can be sometimes more nutritious than actually fresh that
Hmm.
sit out maybe and you don't get to them right away. And probably but you can't. Yeah. So that's one tip that I could give people. If you want to just start eating more vegetables, buy big giant bags of it, you know, cheap bags at the Costco's or at the Sam's or whatever, and just eat a little bit at a time, roast them in a pan. So easy. And you add some vegetables to your life.
Well, Robin, it's about time to wrap this up. If you could just give everybody all your info that you want them to have, whether if you want them to reach out to you via email
Sure,
or your
sure.
Instagram, all that
Best place
stuff.
is probably living well with robinstoloff.com. You can also check my YouTube channel where I do my podcast. I put that up there. You can listen to it wherever you listen to your podcast. And that's Living Well with Robin Stoloff on YouTube. And then again, of course, on Instagram and Facebook with a lot of my fitness tips and fun segments that I do with my husband. And I also post some of my interviews with guests there as well.
Awesome. Thank you again. Thank you so much for doing this, and I really enjoyed talking to you about fitness and everything in between.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.